We're headed out to Elm Street Studios to record You Can't Sit Down by the Dovells. And Jerry Blavat will be joining us, Tommy Conwell, Rob Hyman, Eric Bazilian, Graham Alexander. The great Jay Davidson is joining us, who's played with Whitney Houston, Cinderella. He's a Philly guy that's been around the scene for a long time, and I love him. He's a dear friend. He's coming to play horn on this, and it's right up his alley. He'll improv, he'll read, he'll do it all. If you don't know who Jerry Blavat is the geeter with the heater. Jerry Blavat, when I was a kid, he used to have like this little dance show on TV. I think it was Channel 17, and I'd run home from school. I didn't run home from school, but when I'd come home from school, I would, it was like one of the first things I'd watch, and he was playing like, the Dovells, bands that were coming out. It was a dance party. You see Truck Choice and the Maze, Philly bands, so the Kit Kats on there. So it was Jerry's a legend. He still has a show on XBN, and he's the geeter with the heater. I grew up outside of Bristol, the little borough of Bristol, but I lived in Bristol Township in Levittown, Pennsylvania, and the Dovells had a song called the Bristol Stomp. So when I started, looking at songs to do for this project, of course, that was always a song that was like, well, we should do the Bristol Stomp. Although I didn't really want to do the Bristol Stomp, so I thought You Can't Sit Down was a good choice. Steve, our good friend Steve Acito, suggested You Can't Sit Down, and it rocks, and it's perfect for us. And Tommy is just the right guy to sing and play guitar on it. It's gonna be rocking.
This is the Geet of the Big Boss with the big hot sauce, and when you're on the rocket, you got to be in the pocket.
Hey, pretty baby, you can't sit down. Oh, don't you hear the drummer thumping? You can't sit down. You gotta shake it like crazy. You can't sit down. Cause the band is saying something. You can't sit down. Hey, everybody is a jumping. You can't sit down. You gotta slap, bop, flip, flop, hip hop, all right.
Heater in the room, it was kind of like having the president walk in. I've been hearing that voice since before the dawn of time. I mean, it's like my parents' voice and my mother's voice in utero.
Love Jerry Blavat, man. I mean, used to watch him when I was a kid. He had a show, came on after school, like a dance show. In Philly, there's no one else like him, much less the rest of the world. Jerry Blavat has energy, man. He has energy, and he's got heart, and he's got, can I say balls?
Well, I'm here because, first of all, I love the Hooters, okay? I mean, when you talk about Philadelphia, this is the real deal with the Hooters. And they said, Geet, you know all about You Can't Sit Down. I said, yeah, I know about that, because when I was a kid, when I first began, we used to go to the Harlem Club. And at the end of the set of night, 5 o'clock in the morning, okay, Chris Colombo, who was the house band at the Harlem, would play da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, be-ba-ba-doo-ba-dee-ba-da-ba-ba-ba, and that was amazing because he would go on for 15 minutes and the whole joint would be packed. So when my manager, Nat Sigel, who managed the Dovells, they were looking for a song to follow up with the Bristol Stomp. I said, Nat, you got to see what's happening at the Harlem Club with Chris Colombo's version of You Can't Sit Down. The original version was all instrumental by Phil Upchurch.
Big fan of Phil Upchurch as well as the Dovells. Phil Upchurch was George Benson's rhythm guitarist on a lot of the stuff he did in the 80s. And so it was good to know that this guy had a hit record in 1961, the instrumental.
Problem was they didn't have a lyric. So they contacted Phil Upchurch, and he added, with Bernie Lowe and Cal Mann, a lyric. And thus you had the #1 record for the Dovells, You Can't Sit Down.
All these years, it's not like what was played isn't still relevant. It's really relevant. Actually, it works really well. So to change it completely would be a travesty unto itself to music, because it still sounds great. Even the bass itself on the Dovells track sounds great. It's got a great tone.
This one I feel like being as true to the original. I just feels like, especially having played it in a band years ago and just knowing that old rock and roll sound, I wanted to do something that was basically evocative of the era.
You Can't Sit Down. We got to bring the key down a little bit because Len Barry was quite possibly a teenager at the time or in his early 20s, I'm sure he doesn't sing it in that key anymore either. It's kind of high. So we're going to bring it down a little bit and just rock it and you know, it's just like an old-fashioned 12-bar blues progression rock and roll song, man, you know. So we're really, I'm thrilled to be here, you know, working with Davey and Rob and Eric and Jay Davidson and everybody, and Jerry Blavat. Are you kidding me? I'm in heaven, you know.
The coolest thing about In the Pocket for me, as just participating, not just, you know, my project, but watching guys like, you know, Eric Bazilian, who I've played with for over 30 years, and Rob Hyman, in a creative atmosphere situation with somebody like Tommy Conwell. A good example of what happened with Open My Eyes is Rick DeFonso and Eric Bazilian, who played on a lot of records together, but they've never played in the same room together. So that's the really cool thing when you see players that can do that and know where to move out of the way or jump into the spot. So for me, that's a really exciting thing to participate in, you know, being the backbone behind that kind of stuff. And I'm real excited about Tommy Conwell and Eric Bazilian doing that today. It's gonna be cool.
It's amazing that you know, all of us, Tommy Conwell, Greg Davis, Rick DeFonso, Richard Bush, we never actually worked on anything together, you know, aside from ending up on the same stage a few times. But it's great. I love the way Tommy plays. He's the real deal. He's an old school player, but he's just got this timeless vitality that I love.
Yeah, hey pretty baby, don't you really dance so fine now? You're really shaking like crazy. Don't you never leave the line now? We gonna do it one more time now. You gotta stop, pop, flip, flop, hip hop, never stop. You can't sit down.
I believe that today in our society, it is most important, especially for musicians and artists who have been very fortunate to have a career, to direct this to young people. And that's exactly what the Settlement Music School does. They have the ability to give young people who have a talent the opportunity to express themselves. And that's why, as I said, beside being here with the Hooters, I am here for these folks here. You know, they've been in business for over 100 and some years. I mean, people like Chubby Checker were a part of that. It's wonderful that young people have a place to go to learn about music.
I took lessons at Settlement Music School in, I guess it was the 70s, the late 70s. You know, I graduated high school in 1980, so it was when I was in high school. I didn't go there for that long for whatever reason, but it was great, and it's still going, you know, and so it's pretty cool.
Settlement Music School is really great because it gives an opportunity to people to get into music when they otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity. And so that's what's really great about this project, is that portions of what we're doing go straight to that school.
I'm all for music education. I'm the last of 6 musicians. And so I have mad respect for music education. I think it enables people to think in a manner that they don't get anywhere else.
Okay, so this is our 3rd song in the installment of In the Pocket Essential Songs of Philadelphia. This project is supported by our fans. You can download the song at iTunes. You can go to songsinthepocket.org. You can get it from iTunes, Amazon.com. We need your support. If you download the song for 99 cents, that way we keep the project going. And it's been a lot of fun for us. I hope a lot of fun for all you listening to what we're doing and, you know, seeing the videos. But we need your support, so please, thanks.